Hi scholars, Anna here. So today I wanted to talk about literature review and building that scholarly foundation. Today I will share an overview as well as the purpose of a literature review. Excuse my eyes. I'm on a lack of sleep right now. All right. So I've spent the last 4.5 years working on my dissertation, which felt like a lifetime. Like, honestly, I felt like it took longer than that time. But in any case, this content is for personal and educational use only, and you can find all my deep dives, masterclass, tools, and other resources on this topic and other topics pertaining to your dissertation on my Substack, as well as my master task list that will guide you along your journey. This is a step-by-step guide that I created that will help you master the dissertation process. That is in my bio. Thank you for your support, and I'm so glad that you're here. Okay, so the literature review, this is an intellectual backbone of the dissertation process. It is where researchers demonstrates academic maturity, mastery of the topic, and a nuanced understanding of existing scholarship. So when you look at your background information on your topic, you want to make sure that you're digging deep and you're actually sitting down and give this a labor of love, I would say, when it comes to the material that you'll be collecting and reading and synthesizing in order to create the story. You're telling a story from start to finish on your topic. And a strong literature review it does that, right? It does that more than summarizing prior work. So it positions the researcher, you, within an ongoing scholarly conversation, meaning this is a two-way thing, right? You identify your gaps, evaluates methodological patterns within your study, and you establish the conceptual foundation for your study, I should say. So when you do this, a well-executed literature review, this is systematic, it's critical and purposeful. So don't lose sight of that. It is built on rigorous research strategies that is carefully curated with these sources. And I'll talk more about sources here in this video. And a clear synthesis that leads logically to the research problem, right? So again, research problem linking back to your sources. Also, theoretical framework. What are the guiding theories that is guiding your study? That will be required in chapter 1 in your background, and you'll touch on it again in chapter 2 based on your university's guidance. Chapter 1 is your background, chapter 2 is literally your literature review, which is what I'm talking about today. And number 3, methodological decisions. Again, when you start going over your articles and going over all the material that you'll be collecting, be able to categorize different themes, different sections within the articles that you'll be collecting on, so that it's organized in a systematic and methodological order so you're not confused. And this chapter also guides doctoral students through these different things, which I'll be talking about: components, structure, and expectations of a high quality review, right? So in this video, I'll be talking specifically on 2 of the components that you need to be focusing on. So number 1, and my computer talking about restart here, apologies. So number 1, right? Purpose of the literature review. When we talk about purpose, this is referring to the context, right? So basically, you have to have an understanding of your topic. Does it, and how does it fit within the broader field of your study? A literature review is situate the study historically. So you're looking at historical documents, not too far back, but as far back as you can go to establish that baseline of the articles that you'll be, using for your study. And then conceptually and theoretically. So again, two different things, but it all works together. Check out my article tracker. That's on Substack. This is a comprehensive template that I've made and that I have used personally while I was working on my dissertation. It lays everything out, and I'll just give you a little teaser of it. Your article, right? Your article. So this is broken down in different columns. So you have, I'll back up one. The year this article was published, the title of your article. We move into, how does this article will apply to your study? How do you plan to, how is it going to, align, and how is it linking to your theories in your study? So all of that to take in mind. I won't go too deep in the template today. Like I said, it is on my Substack, but that is something that I created for you all. And this template, it will allow you to get organized instead of operating in chaos, right? It'll allow you to fuse information to support your study. And number two, this is the last thing I'll touch on for, literature review today in this video. Number two, you want to identify what is known about your topic and what is unknown. Those are two things you have to dig deep and figure out about your topic. So a doctoral literature review, it synthesizes established findings, and I talk a lot about that word, on my post that I did this week. And it also reveals areas where knowledge is incomplete, contradictory, or outdated. Right? So you take all that, like what is known and what is unknown about your topic, and you're fusing, you're nesting all of that to create this big grand picture to support your research question, your research topic, right? And how will you address gaps in the literature? Once you identify what is known and unknown, that will start helping you to identify those gaps. Sources, again, I recommend 5 to 10 years current, right? Like currently. So you want to go 5 years back. Some professors will allow you to go beyond that. Again, if your topic, I did like psychological well-being. So I use articles 10, 15 years old, right? Psychological well-being, that was one of my constructs that I focused on. And I went way, way, way back in the literature to make sure that I had that baseline understanding of that construct and having theories to specifically support that particular construct that I focus on. How much research is available? Some of you may run into issues. You think of this topic, you're focusing on this research question, and in the middle of your study and your research, you're like, wow, I didn't think about X, I didn't think about Y. This is how that tracker plays a key role in you developing this grand, comprehensive worksheet to have you to see everything in real time so you could identify some of these things ahead of time. I'll tell you, when I started my journey, some of the my cohorts that I started with, they're still going through that process. Why is that? Because they kept changing their topic, changing their research questions, changing XYZ, which will likely, cause you to have some delays, right? Delay in producing drafts week after week for review with your chair. So make sure that you're locked in early on. And this is why I can't wait. I cannot wait to launch my master task list. This list, that's what I meant. Master task list. This list is good. It will make everything will make sense once you see it, because I spent a lot of time working on it and trying to change things, and throughout my journey, it helped me a lot from starting out to finishing strong. And I still, I changed some things, I added some things to it. So I can't wait to share that with the world, to share that with you all. So I'll announce that whenever I have that launch. And then moving on here, does these articles support your topic? You don't want to be choosing these articles that is not supportive of your topic, your research topic. You want to choose articles that are, it has that meat, it has grit, it has that foundational information you need and support to help, you write this lovely story of your topic. Again, from start to finish, you have to be a storyteller. I'm telling you this because I learned the hard way. You have to literally tell a story. So and your articles that you're reading, that is what you're going to use to tell the story. Honestly, that's what you do. Lastly here, how will your study contribute to literature? Not only literature, but your field of study. My degree program was in industrial and organizational psychology. So that was one of the key things for me. I wanted to think about ways I could add to my field of study. So that's another thing, not just adding to the literature and to other scholarly work that's already been completed, but actually contributing to the field as a whole, that whichever field that you are in. So I hope this was helpful. Again, I'll be covering a lot more on literature review to give you a synopsis here of what's to come. Demonstrate scholarly competence, so I'll touch on that in the next video. Justifying your study, and also providing that foundation for the methodology, and how you will go about collecting data, and how you will not only collect it but present it in such a way that again tells that story to your reader. And when you're writing, I'll give you all this pro tip here. You're writing, you're buckling down, typing away, right? And summarizing your article, doing your annotated bibliography and all these things. Read aloud. Use the read aloud feature in Word, because you reading it and looking at it all day and all night, everything will sound good to your ear, but having a third person, we have AI now and all these different things, but have the feature, that audio, right? Just have it read back to you, read aloud feature. Capitalize on it, use it. You write something, have it read back to you so it makes sense. Hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.